Thank you for joining us for another fresh episode of Learning and Development, Preparing Enterprises for Tomorrow. And I'm very glad to announce that we have today with us Aruna Pawaskar, Director in Learning and Development Lead, Deloitte India. Thank you, Aruna, and a very warm welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, we are also joined by with Arushee Aggarwal, Head Coursera for Business India. Thank you, Arushee, and glad to have you on this episode. Aruna, I come to you straight away, right? We have been discussing the L&D space with many other leaders across different domains, right? But yours is, I think, one domain where you are impacting all other industries, right? You are almost the North Pole, right? Where you are guiding everyone as to how can they become resilient and stay relevant in the market, thanks to adaptation to technological or other changes, right? That which I think then creates a larger, challenge for you to keep your employees ahead of the curve, right? Given this premise, what is the basic philosophy that you adopt, right, when you roll out an L&D, initiative across an organization as big and as diverse as Deloitte?
Yeah, so interesting question, right? I'll take a step back. And since, like you rightly said, as Deloitte, we are the professional services firm and we do a lot of research, not just in the space of learning and development, but also across industries. So there's one such study that Deakin and Deloitte Australia had done. So it'll come closer home to Asia at least. And I believe that it resonates very well with India. And hence I want to pick that study up. So it said that, firms or organizations that have a strategic priority as learning and development had a revenue, a business revenue. So if you put $1 or $1 AUD, I should say, you get a revenue of $4.7.
Wow.
That's the study that it says, right? And the second one was about attrition. The range that a firm with a strategic priority as learning has 1.8 times less attrition than the firms that may have learning as just a byproduct or something in those lines. So these are just business or financial impacts, but think about the productivity increase, the well-being, the engagement that we have. Like you rightly said, our people are our strengths. I could say we are the movers and shakers of the industry. So Deloitte globally has also come up with something called as a Project 120, based on the speed of thought, and a few $billion investments on learning. That's going to change the learning landscape globally. So we follow two key, framework and philosophy. At the bedrock of learning in Deloitte is our global talent standards. So closer home, we call it competencies.
Yeah.
So we have 5 capabilities under this umbrella called as global talent standards. The first one is, of course, hot skills. And we spoke a lot before we got into this conversation about generative AI, so it comes topmost. And followed by, of course, data analytics, AI, ML, cloud, cyber, and ESG, the next big space that's going to be there. So these are the 5 hot skills that we spoke about. Then we have role-based capabilities. We have industry capabilities and professional and leadership capabilities. So these 5 capabilities form the bedrock of learning for us. And all our initiatives have these capabilities as the foundation. So whether it be a DNA or a development need analysis that we do, finally when we look at learning initiatives, it's always the 5 E's as well. The first one is the environment, both internal and external.
Okay.
So how do you respond? Proactively respond, not internal and external. Internal, of course, is the generational shift that's happening and also the way we work, right, with technology augmentation. And external, of course, is all the workforce changes and the future of work, including the global pandemic and, of course, the environmental and sustainability related issues. So it's the response to that environment that is the bedrock when it comes to, that's the first step of a learning framework that we would have, or the learning philosophy that we would have. Followed by, of course, what's the expectation? What is the business trying to do. So that's going to be there. And then the 3 E's which most organizations follow, which is the education, exposure and experience. So we have these 2, which are like the plinth in the building, I should say, above which all our learning initiatives fall, whether it be digital libraries that could be Coursera or any other MOOCs that we have, or for that matter, even the space for learning. So we have something called as Deloitte University, where we run programs. So that included as well. So that's how we go, bottoms up, but the foundation has to be strong.
Very well, and that's the right word, I think, Aruna. You're very well founded on the other 2 E's that you have incorporated, right? The environment and the expectation, right? But you briefly touched upon the generative AI bit. I'd like to just probe you a little bit more on that. What role does a digital platform play in whole of it? Like how greatly are you engaged, and how necessary is it for you to have so that this whole thing disseminates well, percolates through your organization, because Deloitte is big, even in India, even if I'm not talking at the global level. So over to you.
So I think what digital libraries have done is democratize learning, right? It's personalized, it's just in time. You can do it at a remote space. You can do it on your mobile. You don't even need the laptop. So that's the biggest, I would say, benefit, which is like, it's like the Apple moment in technology is what I would say the digital libraries are to learning. And it gives the power to the learner and not to the to the employer. So it's more to do with what is it that I want to learn, and today's generation know exactly what they want. So it's a great space, and generative AI, the whole word itself talks about how you can enhance technology, or rather enhance human capabilities through technology, right? So I believe that especially when it comes to learning about generative AI, these are the spaces. The digital libraries are going to be the best space to start off with. I think ChatGPT really changed the way we see things.
Great. Thank you so much, Aruna, for, putting the spotlight on all of this. Arushee, at this moment, I come to you, right? We just heard Aruna, and given that, large organizations are truly today vested in their L&D, strategy, right? Because they have realized the potential of L&D and the ROI that it is going to yield, right? We often talk about the ROI, and Aruna kind of, set the, the context so well at the very beginning. How at, say for instance at Coursera, what do you do to stay up to date so that you are able to meet the demands of enterprises such as Deloitte? How do you keep yourself abreast?
Absolutely. So I think being a learning organization, I think we have the benefit of working with such organizations so that we also feel motivated. So I think that's the first thing. The second that we have tried to do is we've applied the same philosophies that we share with other organizations to ourselves. So one of the things which we're very proud of and being able to partner on these digital skills, on these hot skills, is how do we apply them to ourselves. And if we take the generative AI example, what we said is that one is we will disseminate generative AI learning to various learners at the literacy level, at the reskilling level, at the specialization level, but also use that to enhance our own platform to be able to come up with products which are true to what the organizations will lead. And there are 2 that I will call out amongst the many that we have. So the first is, how will learners feel that they are getting personalized learning through the power of generative AI, for which we have initiated something that we call as Coursera Coach, which is a personalized, on-demand, smart coach that every individual has to be able to engage on their learning needs. And the second that we are calling AI-assisted authoring or course builder, which is all about how do we take discrete modules and then create one course or one area of learning which is truly getting all of these inputs from the platform together without having to do curations, without having to do, assessment writing on your own. So that's what we try to do, walk the talk, and we have the ability to be able to then serve the customers that we want to.
Oh, that's great, Arushee, because you mentioned it correctly, walk the talk, because otherwise people will not have the trust on you, because if you are, and I think you are on the same boat as, say, Aruna, in a different perspective, because you are in that L&D space. If, people, enterprises will come to you to look for strategy, to look for consultation, to look for, say, okay, what will be the next big thing in L&D? But, and again, you then have to stay ahead of the curve in the L&D space, so that, you are the guiding light for everyone. Aruna, I circle back to you. You beautifully explained the framework and the philosophy, right? Could you now take us through any particular example that kind of you must have rolled out in your organization and it worked beautifully and, kind of validates the framework that you just spoke of? Any particular example?
Yeah, in fact, I'll have two, and this comes out from what you said, Arushee, about generative AI, not just the learning of generative AI, but also how generative AI is going to help us curate courses. So we were one of the early adopters of the learning experience platform as well. So we have 3 key platforms, if I can sum it up in Deloitte. One, of course, which everybody has, which is the learning management system. The second is the learning experience platform. And third, again, most organization, especially the service organization would have, which is the knowledge management, which is more of the internal resources, and then you pull in. And in Deloitte, we have the problem of plenty. Let's be very clear on that. So it's, you name it and it's there. It's like the A to Z of learning. So the learning experience platform, when it came in, it came up with this AI generated piece, or the machine learning generated piece, which said that when I log in the first time, I tell what my skills are and what my interests are, and it keeps on pushing details, whether it's a course, it's an article, it could be a video, it could be a podcast, whatever is available on that LXP. It used to push it into my homepage, saying that this is what's happening, and so on and so forth. But the curation was left to the learning teams, the respective learning teams, and like you said, globally, because it's an enterprise-wide implementation. So what generative AI is going to do is going to make it real time. Those curations are going to become real time, and learning team needn't do those curations, whether it's business or the talent learning teams. There's somebody who was using the digital platform and then creating those courses. Now that gets, it gets combined, and now the human capabilities are going to increase because of that tech augmentation. So the space that a learning professional has for more high touch activities, and that's where it gives me a great segue to my second point, is about the brick and mortar courses that we do. We have a space and time for development, because in this digital world, we are always on, and this always on phenomena comes in our way of focus at work and as well as learning.
So thank you so much for putting that out, right? Because otherwise people are so blindsided at times that they are only talking about digital.
So we have both. We have the digital libraries, but we have the space and time for development, where all the key milestones that we achieve as a professional in our career are celebrated, not just with learning, but also as an experience. So it's the learning, efficacy and experience all culminated in that space where we have those training programs or learning sessions, so to say, which is the old learning programs that we always did, right? So it's come back with a new space, or with in a new way, which is digitally enhanced. And I think both should marry to actually take it forward.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. Arushee, you must have also, heard similar stories or challenges presented to you, right? Could you share some insights or any, delightful moment that you kind of successfully delivered for a challenge that was thrown at you?
Absolutely. So I think, and very rightly said about how we need all engines to fire together for learning to really work. And, if I may sort of take that same thread, along with corporates, we also have the privilege of working with universities. And over there, it is the physical infrastructure of the universities that is taking benefit of the quality of digital content that we are able to provide, So we are seeing a lot of use cases for that. And one of the examples that I will give, Sumedha, to the point that you asked is that one of the companies came to us and they said, we want to somehow show what is the tangible outcome of the learning that's happening. And hence what we've done is we've created an environment for our employees who are learners to come out and create what they're calling as micro assets. And what they then say is these can be any plugins, any add-ons that people have taken the endeavor and created on their own on the systems that can both save some time and hence, billable hours of the employees, and also be something that is then offered to customers as products. So I think what we have as a privilege is to be able to see the outcome that people are able to see. And the way to measure this is skills. And, I'm so glad that the conversation even started with skills. It wasn't just about, what we call the traditional ways of learning, but actually seeing the skill movement. And that is ultimately what gives employee satisfaction. That is what gives the company the growth that they need. And that is what gives the end customer of that employer the benefit. So, that's what I would say as an example.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And that's very interesting because, like I said before when we were speaking to Aruna, that everyone otherwise is only trying to think digital, right? But people are also realizing that the human connect is also required and it will just augment, right? It is not going to, replace or anything, and the degrees may vary, but it needs to augment, and that need remains an innate need of every individual to connect, to feel, to belong to a classroom, to a group of people, to associate. I think that also, accentuates the urge to learn and, share.
I'll take 30 seconds to give a small example. We showed Course Builder to one of our customers and they said, this is fantastic because I have a classroom environment where we have the physical setup and we have the motivation, but we don't have the flow, we don't have the quality of content. It takes too long to really decide how do we spend those hours together. So I would love to give my trainer this tool for them to curate the course from the best available sources, add their own learnings, and then be able to do it in a physical setup. And he was absolutely thrilled that all the investment that I'm making is going to come to fruition. So, use cases develop every time we meet with like-minded people.
Absolutely. Aruna, this kind of brings us to the last leg of the conversation. Quickly, if you can also allude to any particular initiative that you took as an L&D head that really helped you build a competitive differentiation within Deloitte, which was, delivered an ROI.
In fact, I'm going to take the cue from you when you said how you productized through learning. So we have a very similar, in fact, we have multiple journeys, but I'll allude to just one of them. And that's for the high potential folks, right? And generally what we focus on are a long duration journey, like say a 3-month to an 8-month kind of journey where you have multiple elements. It could be the leader connects that's there. It can be an assessment because skill-based organizations are the future of learning, right? To create a skill-based learning organization. So there are assessments, then there are certain digital library, specific programs curated just for that group, because this is going to be like actually it's not a heterogeneous group. Only from function-wise it's heterogeneous, but otherwise there are a lot of similarities as to why they have come together. And that particular journey has something called as an assignment that you do as a group. Okay. And few of those assignments have actually been productized for Deloitte.
Wonderful.
Oh, wow. And those services are now there where we use it for our clients. So it came as an outcome of a learning journey. And it's right now right there as a service to the clients that we do. So when you stated that, it kind of just hit, oh my God, even we do something in the similar lines.
When you had embarked on the learning journey, you really had not, envisioned this outcome, right? But this did come.
Yeah, it just came, I should say, it just happened. Of course, the idea of those assignments was to enhance work and how they can learn and do something out of it, create a business outcome. But we really didn't think it such far end. We said, okay, let's see how the business outcome comes in, and it was like a great story for us.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Arushee, I'd like you to conclude with you, right? Any new thing that Coursera is coming up in the coming months, and what can we expect from Coursera? That is very exciting, because I always look up to Coursera. You are kind of the head turner. So I am just very inquisitive and eager to know what is Coursera doing next. What's the big thing?
Sure, absolutely. I already spoke about Coach and Course Builder, so I won't cover that, and maybe I'll cover the one that we are now very focused on. So one of the tenets of Coursera is really making world-class education accessible to all. So if we take this statement, what we have said is we already have a lot of world-class education partners in the various university and industry partners that we have, and they are accessible to a large set. But then what we realized is that there are people who speak many different languages in this world, and can we make the same quality content available to them versus other sources of content that might be being used today. And we have taken on a big project of machine translations, and I'm happy to share that the pilot has gone off very successfully. We have released 7 languages machine translations, including Arabic, including German, including Thai, Bahasa, and others. And the next wave is actually 200 languages. And that makes me very proud as an Indian, because I could never imagine a situation where the multiple languages and dialects would be served, because that just seems like a very difficult task. But I'm happy to share that hopefully we will reach that point where any language and every language will be accessible, both through transcripts as well as through the audio and the UI UX, for individuals to be able to access the same kind of learning. So let's go to where the customers need us. That's really what we are embarking on now.
Absolutely. And I think you've given a new meaning to the word that you are democratizing learning. Yes. And I wish all the very best, and looking forward to more such initiatives. Thank you, ladies, for this wonderful conversation. Looking forward to have many more such sessions. Thank you. Thank you for your time today. Thank you, audience.